see who can win the crown. All the marbles involved, football, baseball, or golf. Who's dominating the hoops? Who's talking false or the truth? Yeah, come and show me your war face. I show you my war face. No holds barred, so for your sake, you better show up in good shape. Valuable information is key to your domination. So focus on preparation, online is your reputation. Yeah, it's one-on-one, you and me, ain't no fear in me, you will see. When it comes to this, you be wearing the number 23. In debate, I hold my weight, cause these sports I'm attached to it. Your legacy, get ready, cause I'm gonna set a match to it. Hey. Burn 'em, fire, 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 burn 'em. Fire, 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 burn 'em. Fire, 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 legacy on fire, 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 burn 'em. Fire, 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 fire.
This week's panel, Jay Quimby of the LegacyMaker Sports Podcast, Cody Stewart, the social media guru on the LegacyMaker Sports Network, and of course, Michael Bish, our special guest from Netflix Life. Hello, everybody. Darrell on LegacyMaker Sports Network, and welcome back as Legacy on Fire is back. And of course, you already know we are in the fire pit. I know Jay don't like the fire pit, but that's where we are. We're in the fire pit for another episode of Legacy on Fire. And once again, everybody, we're so glad to have you. It's been a very interesting week in the sports world, and we can't wait to kind of bring the fire and bring the heat in this episode. First of all, let me go ahead and introduce my panel here on Legacy on Fire this week. First, our lead panelist on the show. He is the co-host of the LegacyMaker Sports Podcast and co-founder of the LegacyMaker Sports Network, Mr. Jeremiah Quimby. Jay, what's up?
Just another day in paradise, bro.
Just another day in paradise. Then, of course, he is the man that runs everything on the social media front here at the LegacyMaker Sports Network. He's one of our gurus here on the network. Plus, he's a man that is in charge of Cody Stewart graphics. Hey, it's Mr. Cody Stewart. Cody, what's up?
Oh, what's going on, man?
And don't forget his booming business, Seabreeze.
That's
Seabreeze,
right.
Come
Go
on,
ahead,
man.
Plug it.
I mean, I watched some vehicles, so if y'all need y'all's ride clean, I got you.
He got you. And of course,
it's great work.
And of course, our special guest today, former Fox Sports columnist and personality. And of course, he is on Netflix for life. Does a phenomenal job on there. So if you guys need to just know a little bit more on the Netflix front, you got to hit up our man, Mr. Michael Bish. Mike, what's up, brother?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Always. It's always a pleasure to have Mr. Bish in the building. We're glad to have you all here today.
I'm talking to the company that's challenging the Fox Sports of the world.
We're getting there in due time. Well, let's go ahead and start this episode, of course, off with quick takes. So let's get this thing started. I'm actually going to start with our special guest. First quick take. Who is the NFL Coach of the Year? Mr. Michael Bish.
Okay, quick take. Real quick, I was going back and forth between these two coaches. I was going to go Sean McDermott, but, last week kind of threw me off. So I'm going to go Kevin Stefanski. He's had a great year. Obviously out last week because of COVID, but he had that team ready to play virtually or not. So I'm going to go Kevin Stefanski for the Cleveland Browns.
Mr. Cody Stewart.
Best record since 1994. First playoff appearance since 2002. Kevin Stefanski, Coach of the Year.
Mr. Jeremiah Quimby.
Sean McDermott. The Bills are doing great. They got to stay with what they're doing. I really want to see them play the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game.
All right, first quick take out of the door. That's a tough one. I like it either way, so I can't go there. Next quick take. Better chance to win the NFC East next season, the Giants or the Eagles? Jay, I'm going to start with you on this one.
If they can get quarterback figured out, I like the Eagles. The Giants have like two pieces that I like. They drafted a left tackle really high, and he did terrible. He didn't do what he was supposed to do. I'm going Eagles.
All righty, Cody Stewart. Eagles or Giants? This is probably a gimme, but let's go. Eagles or Giants? Who has a better chance to win NFC East next year?
Of course, I'm going to go with the Giants. I'm just going to put it this: top 10 defense and defensive coordinator coming back compared to negative 51 million in cap next year and a quarterback problem, I'm gonna go with the Giants.
Mr. Michael Bish, who you got, Eagles or Giants next year in the NFC East?
I'm not going to go with my heart. I'm going to go with the Giants. I was pretty impressed with their defense this year. Obviously, I was very impressed with their coach. I don't know. I just don't like where the Eagles are right now. They have too many holes to fill from defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, head coach, figuring out the quarterback situation. Too many holes on the back end of the defense. Just too many holes overall. So right now I'm going to have to go with the Giants.
Interesting quick take. Next quick take. This one is a very interesting one. We heard a couple of weeks ago $12 million was being tossed around. We don't know if that's still the case. We'll find out here in the next couple of days. Urban Meyer is going to be the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Cody, Stewart, is this a good move for Jacksonville?
I like it. He's done well coaching. He'll probably coach for 3 years and then leave for a health issue, though.
Mike Bish, Urban Meyer, good head coaching pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, I think based off his track record, even though it was at the Ohio State, I guess. No, I mean, yeah, it was the best situation, and the good thing about this is he gets to come in and choose his guy as far as the quarterback. So he's going to be married to the quarterback that he wants, and I think it was a good hire, probably one of the best that they could have done.
Jay, who we got here? Urban Meyer, best pick there for Jacksonville?
I would have offered Eric Bellamy the $12 million instead of going with Urban Meyer, just because Urban Meyer has always been a college coach. He's a great recruiter. Quarterback-wise, I mean, look, he got one quarterback besides Tim Tebow's one pass that has ever done anything in the NFL, and that's Alex Smith. I don't like it. I just like, they said 3 years, my heart hurts, or there's gonna be a scandal of some sort that he's gonna have to sneak out before it hits.
Now, I'm very interested to see how this pans out in Jacksonville. Jacksonville has a lot of young talent on their team. Can they get the right pieces? And I can't remember who said it the last couple of weeks, but it might have been Coach last week that said it always seems that right around it might have been you, Jay, that says every time Urban Meyer gets into a situation, that team is about to explode. Like they just take off. So we'll see if that works out for Jacksonville here in the future. Now, before we head to our main topics here on Legacy on Fire, this is how it works. Each panelist will get 1 minute at the beginning of each topic to debate, get out what they need to say, just get that situation and just tackle into it and let you know how they feel about that. Then each panelist will get 30 seconds to fire back on those, to rebuttal on those topics. So we'll get to do all of that. We'll have 3 rounds of that. We got 3 good topics a day. And then, of course, at the end of the show, each panelist will get 30 seconds to get something off their chest, something that's just getting on their nerves in the sports world. So, gentlemen, are you ready to get this thing started?
Let's get it.
All right. So the first topic we got to talk about last weekend's NFL Wildcard. It was a very interesting weekend coming out of that wild card. Obviously, the 1 seeds had the bye. Both number 2 seeds won their matchups, but maybe more disappointingly, those higher seeds won in the other matchups. So we have 5 seeds and 6 seeds moving on to this week's divisional. So the question at hand is this, and we're going to start this one with our special guest, Mr. Michael Bish. Which team was the most disappointing from last week's wild card?
I mean, I think everybody could easily say, the Pittsburgh Steelers. But if you watch the Pittsburgh Steelers the last few weeks of the season, you could see where that team was going, where that team was trending. Just not very good. Ben Roethlisberger didn't look really, really good either. But for me, I'm going to have to go with the Seattle Seahawks. Losing to the Rams, obviously Jared Goff came in an emergency situation with the banged up hand, played pretty well. Solid, didn't turn the ball over. I'm just disappointed, and I like Russell Wilson a lot. And in the beginning of the year, we were talking about Russell Wilson going for MVP. Well, he doubt off towards the end of the year. And I felt like that has been the case the past 3 years. I felt like when the season first starts, we talk about Russell Wilson always being in the running for MVP, and then he just falls off. And I don't think he had a very good performance. Yes, he had 2 touchdowns to the beast of DK Metcalf, but a turnover. He hasn't done anything since he really won that Super Bowl. So we got to see him do it without the Legion of Boom.
All right. There it is. So, Mr. Jeremiah Quimby, who was the most disappointing team coming out of Wildcard Weekend?
Titans for me. I expected a lot more from Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown. Corey Davis has finally come into his own and they just fell flat on their face. That defense that everybody was talking about couldn't stop Lamar Jackson, and the running game, and it was just they sucked. They really sucked it up.
Mr. Cody Stewart, who was the most disappointed team coming out of Wildcard Weekend?
I feel like it's the most obvious, and I tried not to go this route, but I have to say the Steelers. I mean, I understand, they did show signs towards the end of the season that they were falling off. They started 11-0. I think they finished 12-4. But the way they came out against Cleveland was just, it was atrocious, and something I looked at. Cleveland, on their first 3 offensive possessions, their average starting field position was Pittsburgh's 42-yard line. So, I mean, you're almost in field goal range right there. You know what I'm saying? And Cleveland did what they needed to do. They capitalized off of the 5 turnovers that the Pittsburgh Steelers had. But here's one thing that I think is funny. I picked the Steelers to win because they only lost by 2 in Week 17 to Cleveland, and they were resting starters. But I wonder how much does Pittsburgh wish that they would have played and won that game, because they would have probably played Indianapolis and possibly could have beat them in the wild card.
All right. Mike, your chance to fire back.
I can't really argue with either or. I was, the 2 teams going into the playoffs I was really rooting for, that I really would like to, see make some noise, was the Buffalo Bills and Tennessee Titans. So the Tennessee loss was very disappointing. But then again, it's Lamar Jackson, man. I mean, they tried it in the passing game at first, but then again, he just took over with his legs towards the end of that game to pull away. As far as the Steelers, yeah, I get everything. I get what Cody's saying. I mean, it was a very piss poor performance. The effort, it's what's very disappointing from them. So,
all right. I will say real quick on that. The road team has won the last 4 games in that matchup between the Titans and the Ravens. That's something that's very interesting, that the home team just cannot put it together in those matchups. Anyway, Jay, your chance to fire back.
On yours, this season, it really don't matter about home team, in my opinion, because what you got at most here lately, 15,000 fans. That ain't enough to distract. You can still hear the plays that are being called. So, I mean, I agree with what both they had to say, but the Steelers, Ben, it's time to hang them up, bro. I'm sorry. You just didn't look like you cared.
All right. Cody, your chance to fire back.
Nothing really to fire back on. Both great points by both. But I will say, I wonder how much. We know that they say that probably the team with the best field, or not home field advantage, I should say, is Seattle. I wonder how much, if the stands could have been packed, how much would that have turned the game around? Would they have been able to beat Los Angeles in that wild card round?
That's very interesting take, because I was watching it and I was very surprised what I saw. But if you look at this Seattle team most of the season, their offense, at points you'd be like, man, that offense amazing. Then you'll have games where they scored 9 points. They scored 6 points. And I'm like they're playing San Francisco. And yes, that's a rival, but that's all you're getting me? That's all you're giving me? 6 points, 9 points, 10 points, 13. I mean, they were struggling offensively.
And you see they moved on from their offensive coordinator.
Which made sense.
Yeah,
I mean, that had to be done.
I feel like the home field advantage definitely plays a factor. I just want to see. I like Russell Wilson. I just want to see him be able to win deep into the playoffs without the Legion of Boom being there.
Yes, it's going to be a very interesting thing on his career. Yes, 2 Super Bowls. He's been, he's won 1, lost 1. And I'll throw a guy I know dearly, Aaron Rodgers. Until he gets back to a second Super Bowl, you just got 1 on there. That's it. You've been through 4 NFC championships games. You're 1-3. that's going to hunt your legacy. He's got to go in there, no pun intended. He needs to go in there and try to win one. That's
in my opinion,
well,
you don't have to wait long, D. You ain't got to wait long.
We'll see.
I mean, look,
We'll see.
you can't always have an Eli Manning, okay? But anyway, I digress.
Next topic. I was going to be all right until you brought up Eli. Go ahead, Jay.
One more. Mike, with the Legion of Boom, they brought in Jamal Adams. I mean,
yeah,
he's a good hitter. They gave up way too much for a guy that can't catch a cold.
He's a linebacker.
Yeah. He is a hell of a player, though. If you go overall player, I understand as far as, the whole coverage wise. I think, what is he like? He was either a sack away or 2 sacks away from double-digit sacks. So he might have got it. I'm not sure, which would have been like the first safety in however many years to do that. So, he's very impressive. I would love to have Jamal Adams on my team. I don't care how much I give up.
He would be better suited in a Todd Bowles type of defense where you have that hybrid like Bubba Baker or somebody like that.
Yeah,
but
I understand.
I watched that pass. Literally, all he had to do was reach out his arms, and he had it. Interception. And he, 4 or 5 years in the league, no INTs.
That's a crazy stat right there. That's a crazy stat. Now we swing on to our next topic. James Harden is heading to Brooklyn. This one is a wild one because we've heard talk all season that James Harden could be heading to the Sixers. We've heard the Milwaukee Bucks. We've heard the Miami Heat. We've heard the Philadelphia 76ers. We've heard everything. But one team that kept sticking their head around is the Brooklyn Nets. And with all the issues they've been having with Kyrie, this pans out to be a very interesting situation. So we'll start this one with Mr. Jeremiah Quimby. What are your thoughts on this James Harden to Brooklyn trade?
Damn. The Houston Rockets they robbed him. I thought, some of the moves that Boston had made, Danny, the Rockets got 9 first-round picks or some shit?
That's crazy
It's
stuff.
crazy. We're going to go ahead and swap. Well, we know we're going to suck for the next couple decades, so I'm good with that. They don't make any sense. And you bring Harden back with KD, you got to trade Kyrie. Kyrie just doesn't have that passion anymore. He got to go.
All right, Cody, what's your thoughts on the James Harden to Brooklyn trade?
To be honest with you, I've heard a lot of people say that they feel like the Rockets, fleeced the Nets. I don't see it. Don't get me wrong. I get it. The Nets gave up a lot of picks. I think it was 4 first-round picks, and then every other year was a swap. I get that. But, let's be honest. The Nets are likely going to go far in the playoffs, if not win the finals. So that first-round pick that the Rockets are going to get is going to be 28, 29, 30th overall in the first round. I'm not saying you can't find talent there, but you're not finding talent like you are in the top 10. So for them to be able to get James Harden, have a shot to win the finals for the next maybe 3 to 4 years, I would trade that for, 2, 3, 4 finals. Why not?
All right, Mike Bish, tell us, man, about this trade.
I agree with Cody. I would have gave that up all day. Honestly, I don't know if there was a team that lost in this situation. When I first heard the trade, I thought about Victor Oladipo with John Wall. That would be nice, but I'm hearing rumblings that Victor still wants to go to Miami next year when he's a free agent. Shout out to you, D. So obviously, yeah, it's a lot to give up, but you're talking about James Harden, who's in his prime, even after eating 20,000 cheeseburgers during the summer. So, this man can easily drop 40 points just like that. So, and like Cody said, they're going to be in the conversation for years to come. And, the whole Kyrie thing, that's something they're going to have to figure out whether they want to keep him or not. I honestly do not think they need him, but I don't know how that chemistry is going to be. I can tell you, even with the trade, I don't put them as favorites to win it this year just because of that whole chemistry situation. But, next year, the year after, they kind of remind me of the Miami Heat a little bit as far as the whole chemistry thing. They just got to work that out. And honestly, I would have done it. Hands down.
Mike's like, I'm gonna get that
Darrell,
extra 10 seconds in. I don't care. Whatever it takes.
No, it's not making noise. I don't hear it doing anything.
I don't hear it.
I didn't hear it.
He was in the zone.
I know. I honestly didn't hear it either. So
I just heard people. I just heard people started laughing. I'm like, damn, did I
mess up?
Darrell did like a smooth approach. He was like,
Oh yeah, I didn't even see because he wasn't even on camera.
Oh, he was on the zone, man. He was in the zone. Hey, Jay, your chance to fire back.
I just, for me, Oladipo moving, but haven't we seen the Durant Harden show once already and there was no championships? Was there a championship that I don't know about?
Let me fire that.
Let me fire that.
Mike, go ahead. Mike, go ahead. Fire back, sir.
Nah, I mean, come on, man. Last time we saw that, they were kids. I mean, they were like 21, 22 years old. Both of them have matured. Both of them are right in the middle of their prime. I mean, James Harden is one of the best scorers I've ever seen in my lifetime, along with Kevin Durant. So listen, man.
What Durant are we going to get? Is Durant going to come back?
He looked like the MVP.
Durant before
he looked like the MVP to me right now.
He's been pretty good. I'll give him that.
Besides Joel Embiid.
The entire Joel Embiid. Damn. Okay.
Oh, Cody, your chance to fire back.
Yeah, I mean, to exactly what Mike said. Yeah, when they were in the finals against Miami with Harden and Westbrook and Durant, I mean, I think Harden might have been his second year in the league or something like that. So Harden has gone to Houston, matured. He's led a team himself. To be honest with you, I was talking to somebody yesterday. I really don't understand why they're not looking to try to move Kyrie, because I think KD and Harden together is enough. You move Kyrie for maybe, some future picks and maybe some solid bench players. This will be a deep team, man.
Look at that. It was quick. All right, so here's my take on this. The trade overall, if you look at how each of these teams prospered on this, I think it kind of works out for everybody. Houston gets the picks. Cleveland, low key, got, Allen is a really nice piece. I really like Allen.
Like 15 players on their team that's 7 feet tall.
That's true. They like Philadelphia this year, how Philadelphia was the last couple of years.
Now we got to trade Drummond, because I know he picked up his player contract, and Kevin Love.
Kevin Love been hanging on tight. Kevin Love been hanging on tight. I will say
his wheelchair and rocker.
I will say this.
I think they're going to trade him this year.
I think that's going to happen as well. I think the biggest piece on this puzzle, though, is getting LeVert into Indiana. LeVert has had a really good year, low key, and that's why they haven't really missed Kyrie, because LeVert has been so good. And Oladipo's having a decent year. He's not the Oladipo that 2 years ago when he won. Not when he won, but when he was a all-star. But this, LeVert kid has been waiting for this moment to become a superstar.
Yep.
He's got that talent to become a really nice star in this league. And going to Indiana, I think that's going to give him a chance to do that.
Agreed.
All right. So we swing to our last of our main topics, the Washington football team. They get into the playoffs. I'm sorry, Eagle Giants fans, sorry. They get into the playoffs. It was a very wild division all year long. Every team in the division had the lead in the division at one point. Washington gets the honor. They go in there to take against the GOAT. And I tell you what, they went in there battling. And then Taylor Heineke, the young man from Old Dominion, comes in there and shows off. And now the big debate in Washington is, should this guy get an opportunity to start? I'm going to start with Mr. Cody Stewart. Should Taylor Heineke get an opportunity to start or be the starter in Washington next season?
If I'm Washington, I definitely say yeah, because of course he's going to come on a low contract and not going to be paying him that much. If they wanted to explore a trade for a quarterback, it'd likely be Matthew Stafford, which that's about $35 million on your cap. So just stick with the young guy. He showed promise. He went 22 of 40, 381 yards and 2 touchdowns against a good Tampa Bay defense. And if you look at it, Logan Thomas has come around as a tight end for Washington, but their real threat is Terry McLaurin. That's it. So if you're able to surround this guy with another playmaker, I see no reason as to why he can't lead Washington and they could possibly win the division again next year.
Mike Bish, what about this? I mean, Taylor Heineke, could he be the starter in Washington next year? Should he be the starter in Washington next year?
He should definitely get a chance to be. I don't think after one game that I don't think Ron Rivera and that organization, well, they might because they are the Washington football team, but they might be fine with just rolling the dice with him, which I understand, but it's not going to hurt. He's still young. It's not going to hurt to go out here and explore. Maybe see what other quarterbacks are on the free agency market. Maybe you can get a trade. I don't really see a trade happening because, like Cody said, I just don't know who you would trade for. But you don't know. And I'm not saying this will happen, but Cam Newton is probably going to be out there. History with Ron Rivera. I'm not sure if Cam can still play at an elite level, but I just know that is an option that they could look at. But what I saw from that game, he definitely deserves a shot, at least in a quarterback competition, because that was one hell of a game by a player to come in and perform.
Jay, should Taylor Heineke get an opportunity to start in Washington?
He should get an opportunity. It should be an open competition. And, I agree with what Mike had to say because, Cam's out there. He knows it. But, I think Alex Smith staying would benefit Heineke because, you can learn from him, pick up that work ethic, and it will help him prosper.
Cody, opportunity to fire back.
So the Alex Smith story is great. Don't get me wrong, but he sometimes seems like he's a sitting duck out there, So if Washington is able to kind of convert him to like a quarterback's coach or something, keep him on there, I agree with you, Jay. But let me throw this out there real quick. There's supposedly a disgruntled quarterback down in Houston. And if I'm Washington, I'm throwing the next 3 first-round draft picks to Houston to get Deshaun Watson on my team.
All right, Mike Bish, your chance to fire back. I saw that face.
I would honestly hate that.
I bet you would. I bet you would.
As far as the Washington football team, yeah, that was something I would absolutely do as well. Alex Smith, man, yes, he's very knowledgeable, but it was obvious the Eagles were throwing that game. But I couldn't tell if Washington was trying to hate
the Giants, man. Gotta hate the Giants.
I couldn't tell if Washington was trying to give it away too because I just saw fumble after fumble after fumble on their end, and I'm like, all right, does anybody want to win this game? So
that's the division in a nutshell.
As far as Alex Smith, man, amazing story. Comeback of the year, obviously. I just think it's time to lace him up.
All right. Jay, your chance to fire back.
I like what Cody had to say. Deshaun, disgruntled, 3 first-round picks. The last time they gave up valuable picks, they got offensive rookie of the year, had one good season. And honestly, we talked on the show about this, Darrell, and I hate that color even comes up, but black quarterbacks in DC don't do well.
It's a bad deal. It's a bad deal, man. It is a bad deal. It's crazy.
I'd like to see Deshaun go somewhere like maybe the 49ers or someplace he's gonna. Oh, yes, sir.
I want to say, if I can,
yes, sir.
I just want to say I 100% agree with you on what you said about, African-American quarterbacks going to Washington because it just has not panned out outside of Doug Williams decades ago. But Ron Rivera has changed that culture a lot. And this is something they've been missing, a knowledgeable coach who brings the culture back into the locker room. This is a different team, man. Dan Snyder seems to have gotten out of the way a little bit, at least from what I can tell. Deshaun Watson.
But see, that's what I was going to say. They still have the same piece of shit owner that I have zero respect for because,
100%.
No. Until he's gone, no.
I'm just saying I know a team that, does very well. Black quarterbacks do pretty solid at, but I'm not going to name them.
You're not going to name them. Do they tend to have green in their jerseys at all?
Honestly,
not going to say anything? Okay, all right.
They like to drink after their career a lot, but
oh boy. Now, I tell you what's funny. I looked at this and I said, look how quick the Washington football franchise forgot about Dwayne Haskins. This kid played one phenomenal great, we're going to say game and a half of a quarter. And they have completely just said, who is Dwayne Haskins? Like he wasn't there for a year and a half. So this kid has single-handedly made them forget about that. They've already wanted to kick Alex Smith, who was 5-1, 5-1 entering that game as a starter in Washington. Poor Alex Smith can't catch a break when it comes to this. He goes to San Francisco. It happens. He goes to Kansas City. It happens. And now it's trying to happen again in DC. Good night. I tell you. Poor Alex.
Especially that San Francisco year. He was having
he was and once again he was like 4-1, 5-1. He got hurt, and then there it goes.
Yep.
There it goes.
Fire, 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 burn 'em. Fire, burn 'em.
All right, everybody. Now you know what time it is. It's time to put out the fire, and we're gonna let our special guest, Mr. Michael Bish. Mike, you got 30 seconds, my man. Put out the fire.
Pressure on me. All right, Jeffrey Lurie, owner of the Philadelphia Eagles. You bum. You are a bum. I'm going to tell you that straight off the facts right now, because Howie Roseman should be gone right now. 4 years ago, I used to think Howie Roseman was the best GM in football, and now he has just been absolutely trash. You talk about the picks that he's missed. DK Metcalf missed on him for some guy named JJ. I guess I got my guess now. And then you're gonna pick Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson, who had the best rookie season, man. Come on. Like Howie Roseman, if you're going to fire Doug Peterson, Howie Roseman should be out the door as well. So, you know what, Jeffrey Lurie? Up yours, man. Up yours.
Jay, your chance to put out the fire.
Cleveland Indians for one more year. You guys are just jackasses. You trade, even though he had a down year, Francisco Lindor for could be possibly. Why did you not trade him to the Dodgers and get what you know would be something good? Who cares if the Dodgers win another one? We need another farm system that's good. Or send him to the Mariners, because they gave us great shit the last time we traded somebody to them.
No. No, I refuse to hear that type of stuff. Cody, your opportunity to put out the fire.
I'm tired of the blackballing that's going on in the NFL, and it seems to be surrounding Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy. This is a guy who should probably have been the first head coach or first assistant coach off the board for a team that needs a coach right now. And he's not getting interviews like these other people. Everybody wants to bring up Andy Reid's coaching tree or say that Eric Bieniemy is only a product of Patrick Mahomes. But yet you have Matt Patricia became a head coach for the Detroit Lions. I would even go a step further. Joe Judge, nobody had ever heard of him. Then he comes to the Giants. I mean, I'm just saying Eric Bieniemy should be the head coach of any of these teams out here that need a head coach, man. And it's not happening. I'm sick of it.
I love it. I love it. Now, look, I told Jay earlier this week, I don't normally put out the fire on anything, but I got something that's been crawling up my butt. So I got to put this fire out. Juju Schuster-Smith, shut your mouth. You have put yourself in such a bad situation the last couple of weeks. First, you're dancing. I'm dancing on the sideline. All right, I'm out here. Then you get smacked against the Bengals of all teams, the Cincinnati Bengals, who are, they've had some sparks this year, but they're not the same team. You deserved it, sir. You deserved everything you got. But then, you know what? I'm going to be quiet. I'm good. No, you're not good. Because then you said, we're just going to play the same old Browns. And the Browns, what did the Browns do? They smack you right off the bat. They're not playing games. And then what can you do? You sit on the sideline looking like this. That's what happened the whole time. And the last thing I got to say about this, don't rub off on Mr. Chase Claypool, because then he went and said the exact dumb thing a couple of days later about, well, they're the worst team and they're going to lose next week. Shut up. You're out. They beat you. That's my fire. I put that out. Stupid Juju Schuster-Smith. Anyway, everybody.
And he's not even He's not even a number 1 wide receiver.
Not even
in my
number 1.
opinion.
He's a number 2, maybe even number 3. The way he's been playing,
I think he lost himself some money.
he did. He
Free
did.
agency
Somebody,
coming up, he's lost himself some money.
he lost some money. He lost some money. Well, everybody, that is it for this episode of Legacy on Fire, episode 9. The MC Sports Report reunion. I love it. I love it. It was good to have the fellas back in the saddle together. Before we get out of here, special guest Mike, anything you want to say before we go?
Nope. No. Hey,
Nope.
couple things. As far as sports, Eagles head coaching job. Eric Bieniemy, would love to have him. If not, Deuce Staley. I would love the Eagles to.
I like the Deuce.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Second thing, thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. And third thing, D, thinking about you, man. Praying for you and the fam.
Appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it with all my heart. Jay, anything you got to say before you get out of here?
I just off of what Bish, praying for you. This one's for Mama D. She's gonna be missed, but she's at peace.
Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that. Cody, anything you want to say before we go?
Same here, man. I'm not trying to get everybody emotional, but we're definitely here thinking about you, thinking about your family, man. Praying for you hard. Just we know everything's gonna be okay. All right,
Fellas, you don't know how much that means to me. It means the world to me. Yes, if you didn't know, I lost probably the most wonderful woman, my queen. Lost her early this week on Monday, and she was in a lot of pain, but she's not in pain anymore. So I want to thank all the people out there, everybody who called, everybody who sent messages, everybody who checked in on me. I love you all. I swear to you. I'm not just saying it because I'm just saying it. I love you all. Thank you all for checking in on me. I truly appreciate it. I love y'all. And this has been episode 9 of Legacy on Fire. I'm Darrell Lawrence, Michael Bish, Jeremiah Quimby, Cody Stewart. Until next time. And next week, we got Commonwealth Sports Talk coming on here. We'll see you guys then. Until next time.